What's up, guys? So I'm back with another video, and today is another episode of my transformation story series. And today we have a very interesting transformation because I know this guy, and I've studied with this person in class 11th and 12th, and he was one of those people who was in my coaching for engineering as well. And we always perceived him as someone who used to focus only on his studies, and as he's mentioned in the video, he actually used to think of people like us as muscleheads or meatheads. So we never actually thought that he would be entering into this sport of bodybuilding or into this entire fitness lifestyle. And we kind of lost touch after that. And I've actually gotten back in touch with him over social media, and I've seen the transformation of how he's transformed from someone who was very lean, extremely scrawny, and to someone who's actually bulked up to a weight of around 79-80 kgs, which decent amount of muscle mass. So without further ado, I will actually go ahead and introduce you to Soumik.
Hi guys, this is Soumik. I started bodybuilding in 2014, and I did it for 1.5 years, after which I stopped because I came to the US. And frankly speaking, bodybuilding is a rich man's hobby, and I was not earning that much to sustain my diet and my supplementation. So I stopped bodybuilding for 1 year, after which I started bodybuilding again. So needless to say, as an amateur, like with no background in bodybuilding whatsoever, I was a lanky kid. I was like 51 kgs, and in my second year, I just got off from jaundice. And I was like 51 kgs. On top of that, I have a new injury. I have an ACL tear, which I did not operate on. My journey of bodybuilding started with physiotherapy. So I visited my local gym, where there was a really good physiotherapist, and he recommended me to do personal training, PT, at that point of time. And fortunately I had a very good trainer, so he started instructing me in the ways of physiotherapy. He is actually a really good trainer, and he's pretty famous back in Kolkata. So he suddenly asked me one day, like, do you want to do other body parts as well, other than just physiotherapy, legs and or spine and everything. Was so when I was having this injury, I moved on with this injury in life, which caused scoliosis, that is the bending of spine in one direction. I had bend in my back, in my hips, and all that stuff happened and my ACL tear was undetected for 2 years. So it was pretty bad. But I slowly started doing physiotherapy. I was doing reconstructive physiotherapy. And then he just asked me, like, do you want to do other body parts? And frankly speaking, I said, okay, yeah, I don't mind. So when I first started my journey, I was intimidated because I was just 51 kgs, just like 5'6". And when I first started bodybuilding, I did not have a great idea about what this sport or this art form is about. And then I slowly started learning, and frankly speaking, I think the art of bodybuilding is all about 70% of it, I think, for my personal view, is about diet. And when I first started getting that right, I saw results in like six and a half months. I started to bulk up, and then I quit the gym and I started doing my bodybuilding in my college gymnasium. And then I started following these online bodybuilding.com training regimens. I'm a particular fan of Chris Gethin. I followed his DTP program, and then I started following Jim Stopiani and Steve Cook, big man on campus, and a lot of other routines. And I also incorporated what I learned from my personal trainer, some things called isolation, sub-isolation, which is practically targeting the subheads of a particular muscle group, into my training program. And I completed my bulking phase at, like, I think it took 2.5 months more, so 8.5 months. Total bulking phase, I grew from 51 to 69, 70 kgs, and then I started cutting. It took me, so when I was in India, I did not have a great knowledge about cutting, because something that I had not done. So I started slowly, like, reducing carbs. I was on entire protein diet. Max carbs I would take was around 50 to 60 grams a day, and then I started using a protein shake, and then fat burners. We have thermogenic fat burners, not too good in India, but the weather helps a lot in India. So yeah, I got a pretty good body by that, like, 1.5 years. I was also the gym captain of my college, particularly thanks to my experiences. And I actually came far away from 51, and I was 66 and lean, and by lean I mean 12% body fat, 10 to 12% body fat. That's what's much my experience in India. When I came to the US, I pretty much destroyed my own body. I was not eating well, because I did not earn that much money initially, and so I was not eating well, and stuff, and things were not happening. So I did not go to the gym, I did not eat well, and then I started revisiting my journey in the summer of 2016, because I now have a good job, and I started doing bodybuilding. From what I can say is, muscle memory has a really important say in bodybuilding, which I learned after this pause, because I was 62 kgs when I first started, which is pretty low for me. And then within a span of 2 months, I gone down to like 76, like 14 kgs increase. Obviously most of it was water weight, because I started using creatine, and and the one thing that revolutionized my training was pre-workouts. So yeah, 76 kgs. I was bloated as hell, not a healthy body. I was so bulked up, like when I could not sit straight, my back started to hurt if I leaned a bit backwards, and if I leaned a bit forwards, my abs started to hurt. So and then I went for a cutting phase, which was around it was like 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah, for 3 weeks I started cutting. I was rigorous cutting, like 0 carbs. I was no sugar, no salt diet. I used potassium salt. So yeah, rigorous cutting. I achieved like 69 kgs, and then like I was totally shredded, 9 to 10% body fat. And then I increased a little bit. I just did 1 week of bulking, that too like clean, lean bulking with creatine, so that intracellular water gets flooded into my muscles and I look a bit fuller, as opposed to the totally drained out state I was in. So I would say that body would be 71 kgs, which is pretty good. And then I started doing lean bulking. Currently I'm on a bulking phase, and I weigh 79 kgs. I am not that much like dirty bulked at this moment, but pretty jacked, and I'm currently going on a cutting phase. My goal in bodybuilding is, I don't have a particular goal in mind. It's all about the visuals, it's about the aesthetics, and I want to have as perfect a body as possible. First, when I started out, I did not know anything about bodybuilding, and now I know a lot about bodybuilding, but the goal is still unclear what I want to do in life with this art, because no matter what, the state I am now, so when I first started out, this state would have been my goal, but the way I'm right now, I want to like take this to another level, I have a few deficits in my rear delts and back a little bit. I need to start paying more attention to my legs, which are a weak point right now because I still haven't done the operation. So I have to visit those roots a bit more. I want to be more aesthetic than I am now, and I don't think that this goal will change anytime sooner. Even if it's like 2 years down the line, I would want to be more aesthetic at that point of time as well. The challenges that I faced, a lot of challenges. You see, it's not an easy game. Why it's not an easy game? Because bodybuilding is all about discipline. It's about getting up, having a plan for the day, and going and hitting the gym and hitting it like it's your first day. The first day of the gym is the worst day of the gym, and you have to make sure that every day is your first day of the gym. And it's hard to do that, because you have your daily life going on. You have to have the proper mindset. So you have a ritual. I don't know about other people, but I have a ritual before I go to the gym, and that includes like I have to fix my mind 1 hour before the gym, and 1 hour after the gym my body it's totally exhausted. I can't do anything like for 1 hour after the gym, just eat and hydrate myself. So that is a huge time, and I spend like 3 hours in the gym, 2 hours of strength training, 1 hour of abs and cardio. So it's like 4 hours of your life, and that's not including what you have to do outside the gym, and that includes cooking, supplementation, diet, and obviously we have different phases, bulking and cutting. And obviously during cutting things becomes more challenging because you are not on carbs. Personally, the heavier lifts are my favorites, and if I have a drop in numbers, I become depressed, and that I love that sport that much. So during cutting, what happens is you become depressed. You cannot do the lifts that you love the most, and that's a challenging part because when you are in cutting, your saturated fat levels drop, your test levels drop, and you are already in a depressed state. Like you are thinking about like what's wrong, how can I do it quicker, because you want to do the cutting fits quicker so that you don't put too much damage to your body, because cutting phase is ultimately a catabolic phase, and you don't want your body to be in too much longer in a catabolic phase. I think cutting should be aggressive for a certain period of time, and then lean bulking, and then again short bursts of cutting, which would be more beneficial to your body. Because I don't know about other people, but I don't want to put my body through catabolic phase for too long, because right now I'm growing. I want to grow bigger, so I just want to like maximize my gains, and because frankly speaking, maintaining that 10% body fat year round with my genetics, and it's hard, and I don't want to maintain 10% body fat year round, because I just want to like concentrate on my lifts, get that power, get that bulk, and sometimes for my own satisfaction, just to see like if I can do it, and if I'm still able to do it, I just go for a cut. So yeah, there are a lot of challenges that we face, particularly time management is one big thing. One day I was just thinking like, how much time do I spend on my body daily? 7.5 hours daily, and that's not an exaggeration. Especially during the cutting phase, it increases more like 8.5, because I'm on like 12 supplements a day, just maintaining that lean diet. So yeah, the challenges are extreme, and frankly speaking, bodybuilding is not a poor man's game. It takes a lot of money to sustain yourself with that diet, with that training regimen. And what keeps me going is that drive for a more aesthetic body, and I'm just hooked. I just want to grow bigger, stronger, meaner, leaner, and once you get that the feeling of the pump and the feeling of the mind muscle connection, you just want to keep it going. In my daily routine, if I don't work out, that is a huge space, and I feel empty during that time. I have been doing this for too long, so not too long, but what I have experienced is the time that fixed time that you go for bodybuilding. If you are not going for that bodybuilding, you go restless, and your muscle starts to clench, and it demands punishment, and that is something that keeps me going. That incessant call for punishment, it keeps me going, and obviously the aesthetics and the looks part of it. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Just keep on hitting the gym hard, and what I would say is, the only reason that people don't understand bodybuilding, and I mean, so I have seen a lot of people just come to the gym, do it like as a picnic, just chat, and just they don't come to the gym to do the gym. And frankly speaking, when I started out, I used to think of like people going to the gym as muscle heads, like they don't have anything better to do in life, which is completely incorrect. Now, what I've experienced, what I've learned, most of the people quit the gym because they don't get results. So I would suggest that if you have a mindset of having a good body, and I would suggest you get yourself a very good training regimen. You get yourself proper knowledge before starting, and as you start, you commit to it for 2 to 3 months, and as soon as you get your first results, as soon as people start first complimenting you, that will be your drive. And as you progress, you yourself will drive, because once you wake up in the morning and look yourself at the mirror, that is your best drive. And I would suggest that, when you start out, just be informed about it, and don't be, and people are afraid of what they don't know. So I think knowledge is a very key factor when it's come to bodybuilding. So thanks. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Goodbye.
So that was the story, and that was how Soumik inspired himself to actually transform. And apologies for spelling or pronouncing his name wrong. It's Soumik actually. So yeah, so I guess that was something very inspiring, because someone who's undergone jaundice went down to 50 kgs, then actually climbed back up, is continuing to grind, actually looking to improve even with that injury. So it's a completely different kind of a mindset that he's carrying right now from what he had previously. And this will not only be positive for his fitness career, this will be positive in what he does in life. And that applies to every person who is actually into the fitness lifestyle, because it not only teaches you how to live your life like someone who won't just give up, and it also increases your lifespan to be very basal in what the positives of fitness will be. So yeah, I hope you can draw inspiration from one of the stories that I've actually pasted. And on popular demand, a lot of people have actually asked me my transformation story. So yeah, I'll be posting my transformation story as well. And yeah, I'll be seeing you.